Hey guys, it's the Crypto Sniper. I'm giving you an update. Welcome to the new year. It's the first Crypto Sniper video for you on the 2020. We have 2020 vision along with the HVF methods, but that doesn't mean we get everything right all the time. But in a probability-based game where uncertainty are facts and fear and worry should be dispelled for impartiality and discipline, we probably have the best method that I know for looking at the market. So a while ago, December the 27th, 2 days after Christmas Day, we did warn that this structure is not typically bottoming structure and that there's possible scope for a head and shoulder here. Possible scope, that doesn't mean we are a bear and that doesn't mean we're saying shorting. But I came across, and I'm going to let you run into a small edit which has been chopped where I say a number of analysts are all calling bottoms on Bitcoin. And they may even be right. It doesn't mean it's a buy now. And the problem we have is people, when things ceases to be a sell, they think automatically, therefore it's a buy. Actually, in the probability-based world, all there is uncertainty and low probability events. So you have, instead of a red and then suddenly binary green in, be short, be long, you actually have red and then you have yellow. It could mean more red to the downside. It could mean green, and that the bottom is indeed in on the Bitcoin chart. So having shown that tweet, let's go across to the Bitcoin chart. In fact, is that it? Have I chosen the wrong right one? Yep. Or it could, in fact, mean that you're just not going to do much. And that's actually probably one of the favorites, but it's not high enough probability either for it to be traded. And I don't know how you trade that. Maybe you sell calls and puts and you just expect side by side. You'll see a loom that I did for my premium community as a small example. I did quite a lot more analysis actually. I did relative assessment analysis against a variety of things, which is kind of intermediate and advanced levels for our method, which you'll learn on a program. Click for a call below. Grab the mini series if you're interested. Don't forget to subscribe and share, please. It supports the channel. But anyway, you'll get a feel for the kind of things we discussed. I just took the one edit out, which just goes on the Bitcoin chart here. And you can watch it. You can see how I'm referring to it. I also refer to discipline, the great things you need to do. We've got a meme for this year that we're going to be plugging. And the disciplines, the quality of your life is determined by the disciplines you infer and install and exercise upon yourself. But once you reach a certain adult age, you can have all the freedoms in the world. You can get fat, you can drink, you can chase endorphin trading, you can do everything and be discipline free. But actually, the quality of your life and what you end up succeeding in doing will be determined by those disciplines you instill upon yourself and in trading their disciplines in that. Anyway, watch other videos for that. But the whole point I highlight, and you can watch the loom, it was done earlier today before today's price action. This was just a spinning top. I highlight that whilst this is a hammer that you're seeing here, the two candles that follow are both shooting stars. There's no follow through. And also the previous one here, that candle that I've just drawn a pink line through, was also a hammer, and there was a real lack of follow through there as well. And you got this one as a hammer with the two shooting stars, those two. So far, the hammering that you're getting is not leading to upside follow through. In fact, it goes quite soft thereafter. So this aspect of the loom will follow. The key point that we make is that when we're up here, so few people, I've looked at so many other people that take money for their technical analysis skills. So few were bearish here. And literally, I don't think there was only one other that was bearish at this point. All of them calling bottoms. They were all calling bottoms there again. They failed to see that this was going to lead to a 6-8. And even when we got this spike, they became doubly bullish again on this spike. And the 6-8 had not yet been achieved that we spoke of, only for it to fizzle back down to make that 6-8 level subsequently there as a result of that structure and setup. And many others see it as a descending triangle and think there's a far bigger target to be made from a line down there that predicts a lot lower level. And that's not accurate technical analysis for us. And in fact, that play out, although there's scope for some overperformance, may well have played. That doesn't mean that lower level can't be made. What we have here is we're going to probably have an awkward period. In other words, it's low probability season. What you should be doing is not doing. Don't just do something, stand there. And that's a little bit of what you'll be facing. You've got to remember the volume by price super high across this level over here. And it was natural for us to have some electric fence reactions. The lack of follow-throughs also, though, says it's not ready to be strong yet either, and you could lean further down. When this was a spinning top, I said on the smaller time frames I'm expecting sell-off, and we've subsequently fallen through the 7K level. Does that mean we're definitely going to run the lower low? I'm not calling that. All I said is short term on a minor level, you're probably going to sell off. Could meet the same level, could go lower, and could stop out before and churn some more. So that micro head and shoulder, or the mini head and shoulder that I showed you on the lower time frame, I'm on the 5-day at the moment because I was doing benchmarking against assets that trade on 5 days. If you want to know, and I've covered that in detail with my premium guys. So there is a softening. There's just no telling if it'll make a lower low. On the bullish side, a marginally lower low as we have here from there actually does show that there has been some defense. But we know this level was defended for an incredibly long time. Look at that, beginning June, broke November. It was defended just in the same way all the guys were saying last chance to buy Bitcoin, single digit. Watch the loom that follows, you get an idea. Some of those points I'll be recapping in it. So crypto, just not a good time to be engaged, broadly speaking. I also in the loom go past Ethereum, and I show that there's a similar tendency in that. You can watch it in the loom that follows, and I've left that part of the edit in for you. So let's take it into a lower time frame, and this is the other mistake. So few traders that call themselves technical analysts and are taking money for premium services actually determine the direction off of the big time frame. We actually had on a smaller time frame an inverted HVF. Let's drop into that time frame, why don't we? After the 6-8 target was made, and I can tell you that after the 6-8 target was made, we expected a bit of pushback, and that's exactly what happened. You got a bit of pushback, but it wasn't significant with follow through. You got this inverted head and shoulder over here. It never made its target. We then got further after failing to make the target. So here was the neckline for that inverted head and shoulder. For you over there, you can see that generated a certain degree. That wasn't made, so you had a failed upside target. Then we had this kind of structure there, and we said it'll probably sell off for a little bit, but it might not make target. We can't trade it. We watched it spill. We watched the flag, and we had a little bit of minor FOMO, and we say there she goes, down, 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 marginally lower low, took out the low. It met our second interim, which was one of the scenarios in the loom. I said primary scenario, I said we're coming into that key level of the 6K, 5.7, 6K, 6.2 to the 6.5. It's going to be supported. You can't trust a late in bear trend at those support levels. You'll probably make second interim and spike back, and that's exactly to a word what ended up happening. That doesn't mean, please don't infer from that we get everything right, but the discipline was in not taking the short, because we knew we were coming up to a very powerful volume by price supported area. So we covered that. The community didn't go short. We watched it go down. We watched it go down. At one point we were saying, damn, it's hard to watch it go down. And then we laughed after it spiked back up. I did warn, as I've said, about that head and shoulder now. This was a bit of a bulkier right shoulder, so it looked like it broke up, because that could have been the first option at a left shoulder and breaking and triggering there. It chunked up on its right shoulder a bit, but now it has gone down. This should not really for you be a trade space. The problem you have is this marginally lower low. It's not a clear-cut continuation pattern if it makes a marginally lower low. That's typically what happens on bottoming. But at the same time, this type of price behavior like that, really hanging off the 7.1, 7.150 as a kind of neckline through all of that. That is not bottoming price behavior either. It required a sell-off. But that sell-off I wouldn't trust necessarily to run that low, or even the last low. It can sell off a while, then it'll turn around. You need to stay out of leverage trading crypto positions. That's the guidance I've given my community. It's not advice, actually. It's what I talk aloud about what I say to myself, and people listen and take from it what they will. They make their own minds. I'm not regulated. I'm not here to advise. But this overall is a confusing mix. But if the 6K falls, you could spill with some momentum below, and then people said, why didn't you go short? I don't need to into very strong structured volume by price support levels go short. It's not a probability thing, even if it ends up leading to some money. And at the same point, I'm not binary. And I'm not referring to being non-binary as in our transgender friends. I'm referring to there is that yellow custard zone, which is neither green nor red. And it just tells me wait and watch and preserve. Most people want to trade the yellow zone and make it green or make it red. And that's just low probability behavior that invariably takes from your P&L. And then you end up in a spiral and you whiplash, and therefore if it goes down, you should have gone, and you went long, you go short, and then it snaps back and you end up with 3 losses, revenge trading your way into pain and suffrage. It's far better to sit out and hold on to what you have until a high probability trade came. We also stressed that this down leg, in our opinion, made its target when it did the 6-8 run, which was that over there. Made its target. So actually by HVF method, you are in a progress decay moment where you had rallies and churn. We even describe it as churn, and that's exactly what you got. In the same way, when we called for 3.7 to be run, you got your overperformance, and then you got churn. A little bit over, you would have wished you were still short when it was at 3.2, then you would have been snapping back there, and then you would have been drifting back down. Everything that followed that was not beneficial. Only after it sorted itself out and set up structure for an upside draw did you then get back in the money, and you needed to give it time. You can only see that as, let's get a line instead of a square, Francis. You can only see that as a potential squeeze for upside once you've given it some time, and that required you to at least get to this point or this point somewhere here in the April. Then you could say, hey, maybe this is going to be an upside break. So at any point where you've just run a significant triangle, it's not the time. So guys saying, hey man, I don't know what, why aren't you doing YouTubes on crypto? Because there's nothing great of any great probability to say. Of course, you'll hear about it far more often if you're in our premium area, and you'll get specifics, aka I expected this to sell off and it has, but that's not useful. People think if you have the direction, you're going to make money. If I traded every time, thought I had direction, I'd probably be accurate many of the times, because I've been around for a long time and I don't spend the whole day calling the bottom on Bitcoin like many others do. I rather wait till and be late and let the first 5% have the first 5%. Reversal calling is death, and that's the problem. Don't forget, this was a reversal and a buy point right here. This was a bottom by those same guys calling bottom now. And once again, this is different criteria. I think it could be a bottom. You just may make another hammer here. You may go as far, you may not go as far, you may go higher, but I don't need to sit in churn. Even if it means I only get long at this level, some point a whole bunch later. The problem is this nervous period, even if you're in it, most people won't hodl through it because they'll get whiplashed around and they won't cope with it, and it'll do this and then it'll do that, and then they'll be thrown out and they'll probably have lost. Don't get engaged in the churn while things are sorting their feet out. You know, let them sort their feet out, and once they're ready to do the tango with you, do the tango. In the meantime, step back. The notion of compulsion is an aspect of immaturity in trading, and the notion from those trade leaders to want to always call bottoms is people wanting to give you good news that they know people want to hear, as much as knowing the bottoms. Turn your chart over. How confident are you of that being a bottom? do an inversion. It's so few people do that. If you invert the scale here, are you ready to say that's a reversal? Are you ready to say that's a reversal? In other words, it's going to start going down. It's a total different game. And watch if I change these green candles on your chart to red, and I make the green ones red. Just do this in 1 second for you, super quick. Leave the other colors. How do you feel about that? Are you going to long that, short it, or step back? You really want to short that? 2 hammers and trading up? Would you be a shorter here? Come on. It's too many people misleading, and I'm talking about guys with much higher followers than me. They're certainly more significant in getting trader interest, certainly better marketeers than me as a trader, where I'm probably quite poor relative to them. But the difference is, they're not thinking. They're not thinking, and people are trusting them because they like what they have to say. And people will buy the news that gives them some comfort and solace and hope. Hope, whenever you feel yourself resorting, you're in a trade and you resort to hope, it means your internal alarm system is telling you everything under the sun to get out, and you're choosing to ignore it. So please don't ever resort to hope. If you feel hope, close whatever you have open. It's my long-term experience. Whenever I go, don't like that. But anyway, there's always hope. Maybe something will just shuffle the decks and all be changed, and whoop, and it'll do exactly what I hope for. That means you've identified near-death situation and you're about to fall off the cliff. Get the hell out. Take whatever loss you have. The first loss is always your smallest loss. Please recognize this. Anyway, jump on board. We'd love to have you have a chat. It costs nothing to have a chat to anybody about anything. There's payment plans. There's self-study programs at lower prices of cost. We're releasing our new material, which is stage 1. We're just about done that with the mindset to come. Then you'll get stage 2 and 3 if you elect to buy those additional modules. Just off stage 1, you'll be able to read long time frame technical charts, and you will not, like many others, be reverting bull yet. Having said all that, the relative strength analysis that I was doing does say to me that at some point, not too far off, I say not too far off, that could be 3 months, it could be 3 weeks, that I would expect some degree of reassertion. You've got to remember, everyone else, again, that commentates, and as I say, I've seen quite a few people's work, all have spoken about Bitcoin as all-time high. This bull market at 14 was meant to make an all-time high. This pullback to this point that we identified as bearish was all supposed to reassert to the upside and make an all-time high. Nobody can see, although I'm starting to see more people talk like us on Twitter and on things, no one could see a macro continuation pattern. No one could see it for the first time. Everybody expects the same again, Sam, all the time, until it's different. That was Bitstamp, so let's just reframe that because that's ridiculous. There was a crazy wick. And I think you're going to start seeing people that will recognize that we could indeed be in, look at all those lines, what a mess. Let me get a clean chart for you, a big time frame. Let me take all that nonsense off and draw it with a pen, because we do so much analysis on the smaller time frame, it's sometimes tough, that no one has seen or called. We were on this really early and saying, guys, this is going to be a macro continuation. Everything has been bull, bear, bull, new all-time high, bear, bull, new all-time high, bear. And they think it's going to carry on like that forever. They don't see an echo rebound, not quite of the same power, with an echo bear leg, not quite of the same length or duration, and then a macro continuation. And this is our primary scenario, which is another reason why I'm not interested to be shorting like a monster at these levels. The volume by price is huge here. This zone was very big. You do actually have the beginning of a hammer here. If you made a marginally lower low here and another hammer, that has a wick down to there, and that by the end of this month of January is a hammer, and then you have another spinning top body and maybe if you're lucky a third hammer, but this one not making a new low, let me tell you, you're creating a great bottom, and I'll be getting excited and I'll be going long. And against some of the best tech equities, we actually have very interesting structure that tells us that Bitcoin's day will come. So I'm looking at all assets that have been inflated by the QE mega bomb that they are now doing on repo rate. Remember that they were supposed to be reducing the balance sheet. We called BS on that. Wasn't long before the market wet the bed, and next thing you knew, they were proliferating money again. It's all a game. It's a charade. They know what they're doing. People think they're stupid. It's superiority to think you're smarter than the Fed. If you think a YouTuber like me with very little special access can call things that are going to happen well before the Fed does, and that they're just stupid, you're deluded. They know exactly what they're doing. They're acting. They've tipped the casino table to make the wealthy in the equities, to accumulate all the money for the people that are on the inside, and to do it. And they'll just say, oh yes, it's terrible, the inequality curve, and we're going to work to restore that. No, they're not. No, they don't care. They work for the people who put them in power, and it's the banks. It's not you. It's not taxpayers. It's a complete charade, and they know exactly what they're doing, and they're very well informed, and they're very good at it. Just in the same way Trump's meant to be an antagonist, he's meant to divide and conquer, in my opinion, will be elected again. Regardless of whatever impeachment and stupid dramas, it's all to get the vote out and get people engaged and keep the polarization going, which they love. Him, the lovers of him versus the haters of them. I'm neither interested in either party. Anyway, I'm rambling onto the political side. This would be a great bottoming for it, and I think that would then give us entries, and that might mean you only get in, somewhere at 7.5, but you don't sit through the churn. Others that want to pre-guess that this happens, what are you going to do if you get a seriously strong red candle and then you bottom a little lower? You might get shaken out and then it goes up. And what if I'm wrong with my scenario and we make a new low and it forms a falling wedge? Something like this, which it could do. If I wipe my face quickly there and draw the possible falling wedge, you could have a scenario whereby you have a wedge structure like that. Now, I am saying that's going to happen. I don't think that's high probability. My best guess is the one I showed you first. But who's to say? I see these hammers. I see these lower wicks starting to grow now. Here and here. See the lower wicks starting to grow. When before it was all about the higher wicks, which was rejection across the tops, which was why we were accurate on the big time frames, calling a bear up top here. You can see it was all about these selling wicks, and now you started to get some lower wicks coming through and a little bit of a hammer. So I still assess that there will be some form of turning. So I'm not a perma bear on Bitcoin. I'm not a hater of Bitcoin. I neither love nor hate. I look to be impartial and disciplined, and I don't care to sit through churn. I don't care to sit through churn. And small time frame patterns are disappointing and letting it down. Anyway, go watch the Loom. It's backed in on here, and I hope you enjoy it. You could be getting those on our premium service on a regular basis and being kept up to date. We look forward to taking you all forward into 2020 on the free views that we do. Share and like. It's greatly appreciated. Comment and tell me where you think Bitcoin will be at the end of this year. I would love to hear in the comment section where at the end of this year, 31st of the 12th, 2020, I'm going to guess Donald Trump will be in for 4 more years. Where will you see Bitcoin? What price level? Lower, higher, significantly higher, lower? Throw your number down. Watch the Loom. Enjoy. Thank you for being a member with us. Thanks for coming on and watching. I don't mean any disrespect to anybody who's other opinions. They can be right and I can be regularly wrong. I just sometimes wish the overall standard of technical analysis being provided was far higher than is. Okay, bye for now and enjoy the Loom that follows. Does that mean Bitcoin's a bull and a buy? No, on the same 5-day chart right now, I have a problem calling it a long yet. So it's not a short. That doesn't mean it's a long. It could be, it's not a short HVF, but it could be showing weakness, which could see it fall short. Now remember, this line, this spinning top is worthless because we've literally got 1 day of data in it. but the two in the box are full 5-day period. So that's the previous 5-day, and that's the previous 5-day. So we're on I've stayed with the 5-day because we're doing the benchmarking that we were doing. So we've stayed with it. Technically speaking, you can go up to 7-day, aka a week, because Bitcoin trades Saturday and Sunday. The main comment we had made is that there was potential for bottoms to occur, or certainly sustained moments of support zone at these levels because of our legacy volume by price. Again, I like Bitstamp for not being insane with the Bitfinex spike, as well as for the history. So it's a good chart, Bitstamp. Use it. I've only got one alert on that. I might put some on it, but I've got tons of Bitcoin alerts on the other ones, but I like to have some on Bitstamp. So we know we've tested this. We've tested a bit deeper, but now you've got these two shooting stars. There's no buoyancy out there. Change color just for the hell of it. The two previous attempts after the hammer, no buoyancy out there. The other thing that makes me suspicious is all the other technical analysis kings are all largely calling bottoms and saying Bitcoin is a buy and a long. So and I don't agree that they're accurate. I'm the lizard slayer that lives in the crack of the two rocks, generally disagreeing with everyone and trying to avoid being disagreeable. Politely disagreeing is something I'm not always mastering very well. But I would say that's my zone. Whenever there's a lot of people, including a lot of people that think they're smart and are even trade errors. So they've been better than me at getting followers and playing the right mood music, but I don't feel they're going to be consistently more accurate than the real implementation of HVF method in our targeting system. So with them all in agreement and calling that bottom, I would, by the way, that doesn't mean I'm saying it makes a lower low. I'm just saying that the up and down churn and the headache, it doesn't mean it has to go lower. I think there's a, let's not do a square. It doesn't mean I'm saying it has to go lower than this. It just means it can revisit to the downside from where it is. But there's also a chance that it does go lower or meets the same. So it can do any of a number of things. It can sell off again a little bit here, a little bit there, muck about a bit, then come round. It just doesn't feel like you need to be a buyer at this moment. Remember, we work on the just-in-time principle. You don't want to take on risk if there's not clear, immediate reward to be had that is taking you away from your entry level. If it's going to churn around, stuff around for a while, plus there's that long shot risk that it makes new lows and or goes and even runs this point or meets this point here, the 5/7 of the low one of this big structure here. We don't need that downside. We don't need to eat that loss. It could then have a big hammer and then strong, powerful reversal and rejection, and that could be your new low. That could happen anywhere, 4,750, 5.5, or even 5.7. You just don't want to be entered in long and watch all that and feel the pain and hurt of it. So as long as it's not an immediate, it's not showing price behavior of an immediate, strong, powerful, impulsive move to the upside that will take you away from your entry and likely mean it was the last time that it's available at these levels for now in terms of this bear market, I don't feel that I need to be long. So to be clear, I have no crypto longs in my holding apart from the BitMEX deposit that you're required to have for your BitMEX account. That is in BTC. And I've even thought and occasionally thought there's a chance this will spill. I may even hedge part or all or even slightly over hedge if this looks any worse. So I disagree with as that reptile slaying entity that lives in the crack of the rock where the other lizards live. I'm choosing to disagree whilst avoiding being disagreeable. which I may do with varying success. So those two things, those two candles do not illustrate strength. The reaction from that hammer into that orange box and then making a marginally lower low, mixed signals, because the marginally lower low, by the way, is inherently bullishness, showing that we've not got the momentum. But that just means at this moment, we didn't have further downside momentum. We've certainly also got no further upside momentum and are getting stale. So I would think in the next 5 days, I would more likely expect that close to be on the lower side and that a red candle, then on the higher side and a green candle. So why do I need to buy now? So that's my take on the Bitcoin scenario. So a couple of quick fire points for you there. And what else have we got? We can have a little look at dominance and alts. So let me just take a shot of this and keep that as an image for you to share on Sniper Circle. I'll also be doing some notes on trader constitution, your agreement with self, and some of the things that I'll be including in mine, and suggest you draw yours up. So you have a written commitment on how you intend to conduct yourself and the disciplines you're placing upon yourself. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of the disciplines you assert over yourself. Removing all disciplines and claiming full freedom and not electing to place any on yourself will see you get overweight, be drunk all the time, and be an ineffective, chasing joy, seeking thrills trader. So we do need the disciplines, and we have the privilege to select which ones we want. So we've got to do that. Okay, so back to the chart now that it's here. I'm going to draw this one as well. So I'll draw a little bit on this one, so I've got stuff to show you. So you get a hammer, which is inherently bullish. This is, don't forget, the dollar's being killed. I mean, they're printing the dollar on this repo game. So much for asset heat reduction, and those clowns did forewarn countless times that there's no way they were going to execute on that and hold that course. So you did get something inherently bullish here with the hammer. And then to follow it up with these two inverted hammers, which can't make headway. Once again, forget the current candle. It's only a day old. That's just a non-follow through of the highest order, which points to inherent weakness. Points to inherent weakness. So again, grab the snapshot. I reassert, and part of my game is to stop you from getting late in bear trend losses, rather than trying to make sure you're the first in the bull trend once it goes up. You don't have to chase those catching a falling knife mentality aspects. We can be late to get on the bus, as long as we're in the first 5 to 10%, which by virtue of the number of people who are not engaged in crypto, you'll automatically be, even if you're the last through the door. So it's far better than wearing further losses. Remember all the guys that say you'll never see single digit thousands again at 9999s. They paid a lot more than you, and they've eaten a lot of red in the meantime. And it's not to say they may not eat some more.